So for today's agenda, we have scheduled approximately an hour for this webinar, but certainly we have the opportunity to go beyond 10 o'clock a.m. Mountain Standard Time. If there are lots of questions from you, we're going to be talking about arrival information. We've got guests here speaking about housing, about campus residents, living with a family in Lethbridge, as well as city housing. We'll be speaking to you about childcare needs and immigration, as well as healthcare and health insurance, banking, and as well, we have colleagues from Lethbridge Student Services talking about student advising. So with that, I'd like to have a warm welcome to Louise Madeira, who is our International Student Ambassador at Lethbridge College.
So good morning, everyone. My name is Louise Madeira. I'm an international student at Lethbridge College. I'm taking environmental science here, and I'm in my 4th year. And I'm also a student ambassador at the college, so I'll be your point of contact when you get to the college. Talk to you a little bit about your arrival in Canada. I've done this 2 times already, so I have a little bit of experience with that. So first of all, when you come to Canada, you have 2 ways to arrive in Lethbridge. The first one is if you are flying into Calgary. So if you are flying into Calgary, you will have to take a bus to Lethbridge right after that. We have 2 companies that make the transportation from Calgary to Lethbridge. The first is Red Arrow, and second is Greyhound. I'm going to talk a little bit about Red Arrow first. So if you are taking Red Arrow, the price is going to be around 43 Canadian dollars for a student. If you want to get a student discount, you have to make your login at their website. So just go to redarrow.ca and you have to fill a form over there and ask for a student discount, and they will ask for your student number. So if you want to do that, you have to go to their website. Red Arrow will leave from the international airport. So it's a more convenient way to travel to Lethbridge, and they will take you straight to the south side in Lethbridge or the University of Lethbridge. And then you will have to take a cab to your final destination. If you are taking the Greyhound to Lethbridge, they don't depart from the international airport. They depart from downtown Calgary. So if you choose to take the Greyhound, you have to make sure you know how to get downtown. The international airport in Calgary, they have several taxi services, so you don't have to worry about taxi numbers when you are at the airport in Calgary. So just take the taxi downtown and then the bus to Lethbridge. It's important to notice that you have to print your tickets. I did this before, and once I didn't have my tickets printed, and they will ask for your tickets when you are at the bus station. So just make sure you buy them in your country and then print it and bring it with you to Canada. If you are flying into Lethbridge from Calgary, our airport is not big, so you will need a taxi service to get from the airport downtown or to wherever you are going. We will give you a list about taxi services and taxi numbers in the end. So if you need a taxi service, you can call them, but you can also make advanced arrangements on their website. So if you are taking, for example, A+ Taxi or Black Diamond, you can make reservations in advance. So you go to their website, you're going to fill a form over there, and you're going to tell them what time you are arriving in Lethbridge. So a taxi will be waiting for you at the airport. It's also important to mention as well that sometimes you won't have taxis at the Lethbridge airport because it's a small airport. So make sure you do your advance reservation and you have all of your documents when you arrive here. Also, make sure to contact the places you are staying. If you are staying in a homestay, if you are renting a room in a place in Lethbridge, make sure you contact them. You tell them what time you were arriving, when you are expected to arrive in Canada. And also make sure you have time between your flights and your buses. So if you're flying into Calgary and getting into the Greyhound or Red Arrow, make sure you take at least 3 hours break between your flight and the bus so you don't miss them. Depending on when you were arriving in Calgary, Red Arrow and Greyhound, they will have one bus departure from Calgary or two. So just make sure at their website that you have these options available for you. I hope you make a nice transition to Lethbridge. Canadians are very nice people, so if you need help with something, stop at the airport and ask for help, and they will be able to help you. And that's everything I have for you guys today.
Thank you, Louise. We want to take a moment to see if there are any questions at all. I'd like to introduce Tomas Vireg. Tomas is the Resident and Guest Services Coordinator at Lethbridge College. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tom Virag. I'm the Resident and Guest Services Coordinator here at the college, which means that I am probably going to be your first point of contact if you are living on residence with us. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about residence life. First and foremost, it's maybe your first time ever to live away from home. I did it too. Just like Louise, I'm an international student as well, or used to be an international student. I came here from Hungary in 2007, so I've been here for 11 years now, and I can tell you that you will get used to Canada, no problem, even the cold. Couple of things about living on residence, okay? So why would you want to live on residence? First of all, if you're an international student, chances are you won't have a vehicle here to move around. So it's a very convenient way to live right on campus, walk to any of your classes. We do a lot of programming for our students. So we will feed you all kinds of free food. We will do all kinds of trips for you. Just as an example, we're going to give you a chance to check out some Canadian football in October. There's a lot of different things that we will be doing for you. I'm also going to talk to you a little bit about how to apply if you haven't done so, and also what can you find out online on our website before or once you arrive. Very important to remember my face because I will be the person who will be talking to you about basically every single thing about residence. So if you remember me, you can always flag me down. If you see me, you can always ask me questions, even if it's not residence related, even if it's just something on how to fit into the Canadian life. Okay, so once you live on campus, actually, let me back up to one just to continue what Louis was talking about. Once you arrive into Lethbridge or Calgary, you will have to, and if you live on residence, you will have to come, and chances are you will have to phone someone. We will give you an email, or we'll send you an email with all the move-in information. It's going to come out actually in the next couple of days here. So if you haven't received any emails yet, just don't worry about it. It's all coming. So once you arrive in Lethbridge, you have to make sure that you come to the Kodiak House office. That's where someone will be able to give you your keys. And make sure if you take a cab, a taxi, to the Kodiak House office, make sure that they tell the cab driver to not leave until you come back out, because then you're going to have to haul all your luggage by yourself. So make sure that the cab waits for you. That's number one. Number two, once you're on campus, you will have access to all the great programs that we put on. We can give you a hand with several things. If you have special interests, as in sports or art or science or anything like that, we can give you recommendations of what to look for in Lethbridge, where to buy your groceries, all kinds of information. So once you arrive on campus, please come see us at Kodiak House. If you haven't applied for residence yet and you're wondering if we have available rooms, currently we don't. But before you go and explore other options, make sure to check with us because we get cancellations all the time, even in September, even in October. So we may have spots for you at some point, just currently we don't, okay? If you haven't applied for residence yet, there's a couple of things that are important to know. You can find our application form online on the website at lethbridgecollege.ca. Just punch in residence life into your search bar, and you'll find all the important information. You can take 3D tours of all the residents. You can find the application form, you can find prices and rules and regulations and what to bring, what not to bring, so all kinds of good information. On my very last slide, I'll show you a way to get a hold of us if you have any more questions, if you can't ask questions now, or if you can't think of any questions right now, you'll be able to ask questions later on as well. Part of living on residence is there's lots of rules that you have to follow just to make sure that everybody around you is able to focus on their studies and still have a life. So there's a bunch of important information that's available online. You can see it on the slides here as well, that we have a residence information guide. If you have applied for residence, you already have that PDF version of that, an online version of it, where you can check everything, really all the rules and regulations. The rent payment deadline has already passed, so hopefully you already have your rent paid. If you don't, then definitely get in touch with us soon, because your room could be canceled. If you are waiting on student loans, which probably doesn't apply to most of international students, then you would have to fill out a deferment contract. So if you don't know what those things are, then please make sure to get in touch with us. My time is coming up shortly here, so I just want to show you that this is the phone number and the email address that you can get in touch with us. Chances are, if you have applied for residence already, you have a campus map as well, so you know where the Kodiak house would be. That's where our office is. Chances are you might be living there too, so it'll be very easy for you to find us. And with that, I will take some questions if you have any. And if anybody's following from Hungary, szevasztok magyarok. Thank you. Any questions? Okay.
Thank you, Tomas. With that, I'd like to introduce Erica Laliberte. Erica is the Relationship Manager at the Canada Homestay Network. We'll be talking to you about opportunities to live with families in Lethbridge. Thanks, Erica.
Hello, and we are so glad that you have considered Canada, but especially Lethbridge, to stay for your post-secondary studies. Canada Homestay Network began in 1995 by the Wilson family, who's pictured here. It started as a family business and it has grown exponentially. We serve Canada from coast to coast, and we have an experienced network of colleagues just like myself who help you to get adjusted to life in Canada, and we also support the host families who would host you. There are over 100 of us across the country, and we have a person on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in case you have any emergencies and need help. We assure that students will be with qualified and responsible hosts. Students are able to observe Canadian culture within the family and be supported throughout their time of study in the new country while being helped to learn a new language with everyday conversation. We are very happy to share with you about our homestay. We have arranged successful homestay across Canada for over 45,000 students from across the world. When we select a host for you, you are assured that it is the very best homestay experience that you could get. We have a very large professional homestay program organization, and our success over the years is based on our reputation for caring hospitality, responsiveness, dependability, and thorough due diligence. Due diligence means that we are very careful in who we select as host families. We are a not-for-profit organization, and we serve Canadian schools and outstanding student education and travel agencies in more than 100 countries. In Lethbridge, there are 3 of us who serve you. My name is Erica Laliberte, and Rebecca Oudman and Michelle McCann are my colleagues. And the best way to get in touch with us is the email address that is on the screen right now. It is lethbridgeinfo@canadahomestaynetwork.ca. It's very long, so be very careful. CHN helps you because we understand the challenges that you meet and the challenges that your hosts will face. We have traveled and lived all over the world. Some relationship managers who help you speak your language, and many have children of their own. I myself have several children, and 2 of my children are students at Lethbridge College. We make sure that we only accept hosts who we would be comfortable placing our children in their homes. And like I said, we do have staff on call 24 hours a day in case you do have any emergency. What types of people are CHN homestay hosts? That's the question that we often get. And like many Canadians, our hosts have different cultural backgrounds and lifestyles. Many are traditional two-parent families, some are single-parent families, and some are retired people and mature, and they have plenty of time to spend with their students. All of our hosts are prepared to include you in their family and their life. And some of the benefits for staying in homestay is that you have the safety of a family taking care of you. You have constant language immersion. They are speaking English all the time. A family support. They're nurturing and caring. You will be, again, immersed in the culture. So they are showing you what it's like to be in Canada and to be part of a Canadian family and to get those Canadian experiences. You will gain relationship with people who care about what you are doing and how you are doing, and you will get support from our team. Like I said, we have a thorough process that we follow to approve our hosts, and we are very careful that they are very safe individuals that you are with. There are many benefits for being in homestay. Our fees reflect the investment that we have made in training and supporting our network of experienced and professional staff, and we're committed to serving the interests of our students and educational clients and provide you with the best value for your investment. This is our rate sheet that is current. It does change on a year-to-year basis sometimes, and you can contact us to get further clarification. Not all of the listed items would be needed for all students. And please let us know if you have any questions. We are delighted to see you come to Canada.
Thank you, Erica. I just wanted to check and see if there were any questions that had come through on the chat room. Hey, great. It means that the presentations have been so informative. Next, I'd like to introduce Jason Schreiner. Jason is a real estate associate with Sun City Realty, and following on the topic of housing, he's going to be speaking to you about some of the other options that are available to you in Lethbridge.
Good morning, future students of Lethbridge College. I'm glad you chose Lethbridge. It's a great place to live. So my job in the city is to help people find homes, typically to help buy homes or businesses. And I'm also what's considered to be a property manager. So I help people who are called landlords who own houses or apartments and who rent them to people like yourself. I help them manage that business. So when you are choosing a house in Lethbridge, one of the most important things you have to ask is, what do you need and where do you want to live? The college is on the south side. The city of Lethbridge is divided into three sides, a north, south, and west. So when you were searching out homes in Lethbridge or apartments, you probably want to focus on the south side. You'd want to ask, how many bedrooms do you need? And then there are multiple options for housing in Lethbridge outside of the college in the private sector. You can rent a room, much like the homestay, but not organized like that. So you can do that on your own, where you are renting one room in a house. You're sharing the kitchen, you're sharing the bathroom, you're sharing the space in the yard. We also have houses that are called suites. So it's a house with multiple living spaces, independent living spaces. So when you are searching for your place to live and you see a suite for rent, what that means is likely you're going to be on the one floor of the house or the main floor or the basement. And that is your independent space, but it is shared with perhaps another family. But you'll have your own kitchen, you'll have your own bathroom. Then there are what we call apartments. So these are large buildings with multiple units inside of them. So when you're searching and you see an apartment for rent, that means you could be in a high rise, you could be in a structure that maybe has 4, 6, or 8 independent living spaces in it. And then the next thing you could do is rent an entire house. So what I've done next is I've organized the typical costs in Lethbridge in the private market from least to most expensive. So right now in Lethbridge, a room for rent where you are sharing, you're living in one room and sharing the rest of the space with others ranges from $350 to $600. The next least expensive would be a one-bedroom suite, and those range from about $650 to $900 in Lethbridge. Next would be a one-bedroom apartment. Again, price range would be about $700 to $1,000. If you want two or more bedrooms, you're going to share with a roommate. You want a suite or an apartment. Those typically start at about $900 and go higher, depending on the quality of the home. An entire house in Lethbridge, the basic minimum would be about $1,200 and then significantly higher. So it goes, that would be the least expensive you could expect in Lethbridge. Additional costs for renting in the private sector may be, but are not necessarily, insurance. So it's your tenant's insurance. So the landlord wants to make sure that your contents is insured and you're insured against creating any damage in the house, for example. You would also be, in some cases, responsible for utilities. So that would be the electricity bill, the gas bill, water, internet, cable, and in some cases, parking. Where to look for places to rent in Lethbridge? The most used and the most popular website in Canada for housing is kijiji.ca. And I think our technical guys will have to add an I to the URL there. The next important place to look for housing in Lethbridge is a Facebook Marketplace. And so if you have a Facebook account, go into Marketplace. Marketplace is becoming very, very popular for housing. You can just do a random internet search, type houses or apartments for rent in Lethbridge. And then there are property managers who own the apartments that have independent websites. And I've given you some URLs there. What the landlord will expect from you, they may do a credit check. They'll want to perhaps have references or have your parents vouch for you. You'll need to present some valid ID. You'll be expected to pay the first month's rent up front and a damage deposit. So that's a deposit saying that you're not going to create any damage. They'll do an accommodation inspection report, so you and the landlord will walk through the place together and make sure it's in good condition. You may be required to provide proof of tenant's insurance, set up utilities, and you have to sign a lease or a contract. In Canada, you have rights. Every province regulates housing. So you have rights as a tenant. Landlords have duties towards you, and both the rights and duties are set out in law. I've provided a website here for you to understand what your rights as a tenant are in Canada. Thanks, folks.
Thank you. We are moving into looking at some of the other services available from our community partners. And with Lethbridge Family Services, I'd like to introduce Christina. Christina Larkin is Program Manager, and we'll be speaking to you about various things. Thank you.
Hi, folks. Imminent welcome to Lethbridge. We're looking forward to having everybody. Here in Lethbridge, we have lots of community services available, not just for you, but also for children. I have the privilege of supporting newcomers in Canada and their children in both childcare and in school. So I wanted to share a little bit of information about what school might look like if you have children coming with you to Canada. So I'm with Lethbridge Family Services, and we have another colleague here as well who will be speaking to you a little bit about your status as international students. And we have many services available depending on your status as a newcomer. We are funded by Immigration, Refugee, Citizenship Canada. That means all the services that you would receive at our office are for free. Here in Lethbridge, we have 4 different types of schooling. So if you were to register your child for school, we have a few different kinds, and they do have different features. I just want to make sure that everybody is aware that schools in Canada have equal quality of education regardless of the system that you select. All of our teachers are qualified with at least 4 years of university, and all of the learning that your children would do is mandated by the Alberta government. So schools are free to add more information to their schooling, but there's a base level of a very high quality of education. And I do really praise the high quality of Alberta education. It is renowned around the world for its ability to support students. So our public system is free to attend, but does have some small fees for registration, usually less than $100 per child per year. It teaches the provincial curriculum, so what the government says they need to teach. There's options for Arabic, Spanish, and French classes, depending on the school you attend. And if your child needs support with English, we have specialized English support at almost every public school. At our Catholic schools, also free to attend with some small fees for registration. It teaches the provincial curriculum and does have some French classes, but it also has mandatory Catholic religion classes. So families are often required to show proof of Catholic faith to attend these schools if there is not space. And so that is something to consider when selecting a Catholic school. We have a Francophone school here in town. It is also free to attend with fees for small fees for registration. It teaches the provincial curriculum, but in this school, because French is one of Canada's official languages, students will be learning in French and in English and would graduate with both diplomas. Private schools are not free to attend. They teach the provincial curriculum as well as other specific courses based on the school. So for example, there's a hockey school in the area, but these schools do cost a large sum of money to attend, so it is something to consider. Your children would go to school based on where you are living. So our lovely presenters previously were speaking about housing options. So it is something to consider when you are selecting a home or deciding to move once you've already arrived in Canada, is that if you have children, it may affect where they are attending school. A question we often get from new folks in Canada is, what grade will my child be in? Because sometimes our grade systems do not line up with other countries. In Canada, the most important thing that I want to share is that children will always go to school with children of their own age. We do not move children anymore based on their abilities, perceived or real. They must go to school with children of their own age group, and so we separate it out by year of birth. The biggest country that I've seen this being different for is the Philippines, where children are often arriving and are very surprised by the difference of the grade that they're in. So not to be worried about the grade that you see attached to your number. We have lots of support for feeling like if you need to catch up, but I'm sure that your children will do just fine in whatever grade they are assigned to. They do not get to pick their teacher or their class, even if you have friends or family here in the country. It's something the school can consider, but it's really just an allocation of resources wherever there is a best fit and space. School for children runs the same time as school at Lethbridge College. We start in September, but for children, we go until June. There's 2 months of holidays, July and August, and schools run all day, Monday to Thursday, and ending early on Fridays, so that is something to consider for your schedule as your family. So I hope that answers a few questions about schooling for your children, and we are excited to have you here in Lethbridge, and we look forward to meeting you at Lethbridge Family Services.
Thank you, Christina. I'd like to also introduce from Lethbridge Family Services, Cassandra. Cassandra Haig is the coordinator of Community Support Services Program, and she's going to be speaking to you about immigration. Cassandra is also someone that you will see on campus because she occasionally comes to campus to provide information about postgraduate work permits. So thanks very much, Cassandra.
Excuse me, I'm a little bit sick today, so I'll do my best to be heard clearly. As I said, I'm with the Community Support Services Program. This is a free support services, including information, explanation, and referrals for international students, work permit holders, and their families. So as Christina mentioned, I'm funded by the Government of Alberta to provide these services for free. I'm not an immigration consultant, however, I do help people understand the system. Topics that people may come to me seeking help for include planning for permanent residency, questions about changing immigration statuses between students and worker, for example, or other. Also connecting with questions about your rights as a worker if you were to be working part-time during your studies here. I also want to showcase a website here at the bottom, www.lethbridgeimmigration.ca, and I did the /newcomers as well, because that will give you a link right to some information that's been collected strictly from Lethbridge. It's a recent project by Lethbridge Immigrant Partnership, which has taken a collection of different stakeholders in the community and presented some information that we believe are useful for all newcomers to Lethbridge. So I invite you to check that out. I just want to be very clear, this is a short summary. Some of these are very intricate, difficult topics involving immigration, so I just want to be very clear that this is going to be a brief summary, and you will have time either through Lethbridge College or seeking out perhaps me when you're here in Lethbridge to get some more information and to hear this information again. One of the questions I wanted to address first was people asking whether they can work on a study permit. I always say check your permit first. All these links in blue, I believe you'll be given they're all hyperlinked to hopefully exactly where you'll get that question answered from a reliable source, so usually the government website. Typically, if you're enrolled in an academic diploma granting program, you can work a maximum of 40 hours a week on an on-campus job or 20 hours a week on an off-campus job. You will need to get a social insurance number from Service Canada after you arrive, but you can't get that early. So that's just one question I get. So generally, yes, but just check with your situation first. The other question I often get kind of right away is people really eager to start their process towards permanent residency. And I just want to, you have time. It's good to be looking in the long term, and I encourage you to do so if that's kind of your plan for yourself and your family, is to look at your options. So I have linked to information regarding express entry and the Alberta Immigration Nominee Program, which are both economic pathways to permanent residency. Those may change by the time you're kind of ready after your studies to enter those pathways, but I encourage you to have a look to them, sooner rather than later. When you arrive here, you could also make an appointment to have a discussion with myself about your options and your goals. One thing to note, though, is as you're doing this research, working on a study permit does not count towards time on a work experience for either express entry or ANP, with very few exceptions. So that's a question that I get early. I have other information here about accompanying family members. Your spouse can accompany on an open work permit. As you mentioned, your children can come either as visitors or students, and visitors can attend secondary or primary school. You will get more information about this postgraduate work permit. It's complicated, but I wanted to ensure a couple things. You must maintain full-time student status throughout your academic program to qualify, and you must apply within 90 days after completing your last component of your program. So for example, it's not advisable to take an extra semester after you've completed your actual academic program and been given your diploma. That can get you into some trouble. There's some information on how to contact us. I prefer email. As Catherine mentioned, I will be here in September to give you some more information, so you'll see me in person then, and I'd love to make arrangements to chat with you individually, because everyone has individual situations, so it's really hard to make widespread plans like that. So thank you very much.
We do have one question for you.
Okay.
Students would like to know how they can apply for work on campus. They have a work permit.
So you can look for job postings as anyone can. So working on a study permit, you can apply for work as long as it doesn't say you must be a Canadian citizen or permanent resident for this job. So I believe that there are the resources through the college to find help here. So you can absolutely access those as well. And I encourage you to do so, because there will be differences culturally between seeking work and how your resume should look and interview styles that are culturally specific. So it's a good idea to kind of come here and access some of those services, and then feel free to respond to job postings is how I would suggest doing that. Any other questions coming up? Thank you. Sorry again.
Thank you so much, Cassandra. Really appreciate you joining us today. You're not feeling well. So it was a really good question with regards to working on campus, and at the end, there'll be a few moments to, I'll introduce you to Lethbridge College's International Student Advisor, who will speak to that in just with a little bit more information. So I'd like to now move to talking about healthcare on campus, and would like to introduce Harmony Jones. Harmony is our Health Promotions Coordinator at Lethbridge College.
Hello. So as Catherine has said, we're going to be transitioning to look at health. So this presentation is broken into two different segments. So first, how you would get your Alberta healthcare coverage, and then also how you would find a doctor in Lethbridge. So first off, you would need to have a study permit that is for 3 to 12 months. And then also if you have a letter stating that you'll be here for at least 12 months. And then also you need to photocopy your passport and your study permit. Also, if you apply for your Alberta Healthcare 3 months prior to entry, you can also receive your coverage as soon as you arrive in Lethbridge. However, if you apply afterwards, it would be when the study permit is allocated. So you can fill out the forms at a few different locations. So you can find it online at Alberta Health, as well as at health services. So on campus, we do have health services and Chappelle counseling, where you can access physicians and registered nurses. You can also find this application at any registry office in Lethbridge, and I'll go over a list of them. Ensure that you do have a letter written that you will be here for at least 12 months or 3 months. And then also those copies of the passport and permit will need to go with the application. So these are locations of the registry office in Lethbridge. The closest one is the Lethbridge Vehicle Licensing and Registry to the college. We do recommend going to that one. That one has hours that are later into the evening, as well, if your class time doesn't allow you to be available in the evening. Now, to find a physician in Lethbridge, we do have a long list in health services that we've compiled for you to be able to find a doctor in town. That being said, if you don't feel like you need a family physician right away, we do have 5 family physicians on campus that you can see for any type of medical emergency. And that Alberta Healthcare card allows you to access those services for free. The next presentation will be going over what that Alberta Healthcare card does not cover. Now, to access a family physician or to make an appointment with them, you would need to call the clinic and ask them if they're still accepting any patients, and then make an appointment with them. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Harmony, for letting us know about some of the services available for finding a doctor and in the community and also on campus. With that, I'd like to introduce Lee Bodie. Lee is a student service coordinator with Lethbridge College Students Association. Thanks, Lee.
Good morning. Hello. Yes, I'm the student service coordinator for the Student Health and Dental Benefit Plan. And as Harmony just tested to, health and dental insurance, it's save money on healthcare costs not covered by your provincial healthcare. So the Student Association provides this. It's automatically included in your tuition costs if you're a full-time student, 9 credits. Coverage, there's on the website here, mystudentplan.ca/Lethbridge is all the information you ever wanted to know about it. And as you see here on if we have in your home language, should you, want to use that particular tab, and under the My Benefits, you can find there's a shortened version, and then there's very detailed information, eligibility, coverage, opt-out, enroll. If you have other such healthcare insurance, then you can opt out of the plan, or you can keep both and combine both and have 100% coverage on some things. Or you can enroll, and with that, that means you can add your family, your spouse, or spouse and children. That's available as well at the office. I should say as well that the office is located within the Student Association office, and the office is open 8:30 to 4 every day, and so, yes. And select savings, we have a couple of places for chiropractor that will give students, a little bit better of a deal on things. And the making a claim, and then assistance, there's questions and such on that. And as you see, I've got the family health and dental expenses can be covered. You can do that online, or you can come see me, and I'm more than happy to help you. And full-time credits, your coverage begins September 1st. There is a 45-day validation period where you would just hold on to any receipts, and then once it just takes a little time for everybody to get set up and students to add drop classes. But you will be covered for that time as of September 1st, and you're covered right until August 31st if you remain full-time. And the fall deadline to add family is September 26th. And for assistance, I have my contact information there, and I prefer email because then I can get back and forth and stuff and a little clearer, and we can refer to by going online. And yeah, that's about the extent of the student health and dental, and we're more than happy. We have the My Wellness Plan, which is also, it's for mental health and wellness. And on that website as well, there's a tab where you can find a doctor, as Harmony had said, within the community. And yeah, love to meet you. Come visit me at my office anytime. Any questions?
A student has asked what clinic will allow them to use their Alberta Health card.
All clinics. Yeah. So, and the packages to get your benefits card, they're also online. You can print a card, or you can come see me, and I'm more than happy to give you a package as well. Okay, thanks.
Thank you so much, Lee. And I want to thank Michelle Durbich and Greg Goodwin, who are monitoring the chat room and relaying your questions to the speakers. So please don't hesitate to ask any questions that you might have through the chat room. I'd like to introduce Jonathan Strong. Jonathan is with the Alberta Treasury Branch, and he's going to speak to you about another really important element of settling into Lethbridge, and that's with regards to banking. Thanks.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Canada for when you get here. We're very excited to have everybody here. Lethbridge is an amazing place, and I'm sure you're going to love everybody here. So we have a great program for new to Canada, and this includes not only students, but your family members as well. And it's called our Smart Start New to Canada. So we're going to chat about what is needed to open new products and services with ATB Financial, and what types of products are offered, and what does the process look like for opening everything. So how are you eligible? There's 3 requirements to be eligible. First, you'd have to be an Alberta resident or immigrated or relocated to Canada within the last 5 years to Alberta, and you're either a temporary foreign worker on a work permit or you have a student visa, which you would have to come to the college. So what do we use for acceptable identification? So we would use your citizenship or Immigration Canada form, your study permit, work permit, visit record, temporary resident permit, bearing your photograph, a passport, driver's license, your temporary SIN when you do get it here, your Alberta healthcare when you do receive that as well. And we do use foreign ID, anything that is equivalent to any of our Canadian ID that we use. So that's your foreign passport, your foreign driver's license, anything with your picture or identification markers on it. So what kind of products do we offer for our new to Canada? In a nutshell, we actually offer everything that we would offer to people that live here. The process is just a bit different. So for checking accounts, if you're not a student, there's no fee for the first year. If you're a student, it's actually free as long as you're a student, as long as we keep seeing that you're enrolled either at the college, university, or any other school here. We offer free MasterCards up to $500 with no income or employment verification, which will help build your credit within Canada, which is very important for when you're done school and become a permanent resident, possibly to apply for other things such as mortgages, loans, and lines of credit. And we can also go up to $2,500 for a MasterCard with those of you with employment and income verification upon approval as well. As far as loans, lines of credit, and mortgages, those are all approved based on any of the income employment verification that you may have when you do come over. The first two are the most important, though, the checking account and the MasterCard, to kind of get you going so you have money, a place to deposit your money, and a MasterCard to build your credit here in Canada. So what does the process look like? So the first step is to meet someone like myself and to get a profile started to confirm your citizenship, get your ID, your contact info, and everything like that. The next step would be to talk about you and your family and find out what your needs are. So we talk about where you're at in your life stage, what kind of accounts you need, what kind of products you might need or services. The next step would be to fit you to those needs. So we tailor your banking to meet what you guys need and your preferences to those new products and services. Do you need the free account? Do you need a little bit higher? Do you need that MasterCard even? What does an approval look like? If there's any lending over and above that pre-approved $500, then it would just look like submitting it for that approval based on the income and employment verification. For the small things that most people would need when they first get here, it's very, very quick. Usually within that first hour meeting, we have everything done and approved for you. The next piece is a follow-up contact. So we contact all of our customers, new and existing, to ensure that everything's working the way that you guys need it to, and that if you need anything else, we can always add to it or change anything that you might have. That's pretty much all I had. Is there any questions on any of that? Perfect.
Great. Thank you, Jonathan, for providing that valuable information on some of the banking options that are available at Lethbridge Financial Institutions. So with that, I just want to mention that you might still have some questions that you want to ask either about the webinar today or any other questions that will help you in the next few weeks as you're settling into Lethbridge. There's several different ways to connect with Lethbridge College. Certainly, there's a lot of information on the website at lethbridgecollege.ca. You can email us with any of your questions specific to your own needs at international@lethbridgecollege.ca. You can also call, and the number is there on the slide. And you can also meet with our international student advisor team. And with that, I'd like to introduce Abby Adhikari, who's one of our international student advisors, just to tell you a little bit about some of the services that are available through advising.
Good morning, and I would like to welcome all the new students to Lethbridge College. It's a wonderful place. I experienced myself as I came from different countries 7 years ago. So I'm Abhi Adhikari. I'm a career and academic advisor, international focus, and also the regulated immigration consultant. And we have 7 advisors. We help the student with a different needs. Like if you are a new student, you got registered, you may get surprised when you got registered in like 7 courses or 6 courses each term. But if you feel it's too much, you have options to change it or extend your program to 3 years. So we help with those type of questions. And if you have a problem related to like the changing the program, if you are moving to different program, admission requirements, how many courses you need to take as a full-time or part-time student, as international student, how many hours you can work in campus or off campus, those kind of questions. If you have any question related to the academic or international, you can come see us at the Career and Academic Advising. For immigration issues, I'm taking care of the international student for immigration related, like study permit. How many hours you can work with on campus or off campus, how you can bring your spouse or families to Canada, how you can extend your study permit. So we can give all the information related to the immigration up to the postgraduate work permit. So beyond that, we will refer or will provide the resources in the community. So the other things are, if you have any questions or if you are not registered in the courses, if you need to, like in general studies, then you can go on the live chat and contact the advisor. So we are available from like Monday through Friday from 9 to 11. There will be the advisor available to help you with any type of questions. So you can just go on that chat with the advisors. You'll be able to find the advisors who will help you on right away. So if you have, once you get here in Lethbridge, if you have any question related to the academic, or if you have any issues in campus, or if you have any questions related to the immigration, you can come see us at the Career and Academic Advising. Thank you.
Thank you, Abby, for letting us know about some of those services. Now we're at the close of all of our presentations, and certainly I know that there's a few questions that have been coming into the chat room, and so I would encourage, if you've got any questions that you'd like to ask of any of our guest speakers today, please do type those into the chat room. I believe that we do have one question that's come in.
We're not sure if this is going to be a question for Abby or Cassandra, but we have a student who has transferred from a college in British Columbia to Lethbridge College. Does she need to change her DLI number? And if so, how does she do that?
Okay, so from Columbia, okay.
She transferred from British Columbia to Lethbridge College.
Lethbridge College. So you can go on your CIC account, your portal, and you can change your DLI number there. If it is not changed, then when you get here, you can apply to change it. You can call CIC, or you can go online on your account and change the DLI.
Need a button.
Yeah.
Within your GCP portal where you applied online, there should be something within there that will say change your DLI
yeah.
institution. So it should be clear. They changed how that portal looks, so you'll just have to hunt around for it a little bit.
Okay. Are there any other questions coming in to the chat room? We'll keep the chat room open for about 10 minutes. If you've got any questions lingering and you want to ask anything, Greg Goodwin, who is as our recruiter working in international services, he'll be there to answer any questions. With that, though, I want to thank you to everyone who is online and is excited about coming to Lethbridge in Southern Alberta. We're so looking forward to having you. There are many people here at the college that will be welcoming you when you come through the main doors. In particular, Louis will be at the first presenter will be there at a welcome booth that you will see when you're walking through the front doors of the main building.
I also want to extend a very warm welcome on behalf of Lethbridge College and International Services to Thomas, Erica, Jason, Christina, Cassandra, Harmony, Lee, and Jonathan for all of your time coming in and volunteering to speak to our future students about the services that are available through Lethbridge. So thank you once again.